Now back to Inside West Virginia Politics with Mark Curtis.
And welcome back this weekend to our final segment on Inside West Virginia Politics. We're going to shift gears and talk about environmental issues. Joining us now is Democratic Delegate Evan Hansen from Monongalia County. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We've done quite a switch. We've talked about the VA deaths in this show. We've talked about legalizing marijuana. Now we want to talk about clean water. That's a bill you've sponsored. What's going on with the environmental legislation that you and others are backing right now at the Capitol?
Well, there is a Clean Drinking Water Act that's been introduced, and there's also a solar jobs bill that's starting to move today. It's on the Energy Committee agenda this afternoon.
Let's talk about that. How much, you and I were discussing about all the wind turbines out in the Eastern Panhandle. A lot of people don't realize that we have that many wind turbines in the state, but what do you look at in terms of solar and wind energy in terms of being a future in a state that's been so reliant on the coal industry for years?
It's something that we have to do. We have to diversify our energy mix, and one reason for that is that there's a lot of renewable energy jobs that are passing us by. In fact, the fastest growing job sector in the country is solar installers, but we have very few solar jobs in West Virginia because they're going to surrounding states where the policies are more friendly.
Let's talk a little bit more about this, and we should point out you're an environmental and computer engineer, correct?
That's correct.
This is what you do for a living, so you know this stuff. Tracy Dancy visited the Capitol this week to advocate for the clean water legislation and some other things. She's the woman who lost her leg to cancer because she swam in chemically contaminated waters in Clarksburg growing up, or not Clarksburg, Parkersburg growing up. What do you hope to accomplish in that arena? There was a whole environmental day here at the Capitol.
Well, the Clean Drinking Water Act is focusing on those types of chemicals that impacted Tracy. There's a new class of chemicals that were just invented in the last decades, and some of them are proving to be very toxic to people, yet they're not effectively regulated. So that act, first it has us do the science and collect the data so that we know where these chemicals are in West Virginia and how harmful they are. And then once the data and the science is completed, then we can move on to setting standards to make sure that drinking water is safe.
I spoke with Chris Hamilton, who is the head of the Business Industry Council in the state and also vice president of the Coal Association. He maintains the industry and the chemical and coal industries, fossil fuels, are doing enough to protect the environment in the state. He pointed to clean air and clean water standards in the state, and he thinks things are good. Your thoughts on that?
This legislation has nothing to do with the coal industry.
Okay.
It's unrelated.
All right, but in general, I mean, he not only represents the coal industry, but industry in general, which would include the chemical. We're in what they call Chemical Valley here.
Yeah. Well,
do you think the state has been too lax over the years? I guess that's my question here. We're not talking about current legislation. We're talking about past practices.
I'm not sure I would say that the state's been lax. I think that we need to keep up with new data and new science and new chemicals that are invented. So just because we've done something one way 10, 20 years ago doesn't mean that that's appropriate moving forward.
One of the reasons I'm asking you in this way, because this is what you do for a living. I mean, a lot of people have emotional reactions when it comes to environmental issues, but they don't necessarily have the data to back it up. But when I interviewed you this week on the story, you were very adamant as a scientist saying we've got to collect the data, analyze it, and then come to some conclusions, and then go forth with whatever legislation we have to do. Talk about that.
Well, I just think that's the best approach. There are people very passionate about the issue on both sides, and I understand why, because we need to protect jobs, but at the same time we also need to protect public health. And the only way to do that in a credible way is to base our decisions on the best data and the best science that we have. So there should be no hesitation from legislators in either party to take that approach.
What else is happening environmental-wise with the legislature? We've talked about the clean drinking water. We've talked about promoting solar energy. What else is on the table out there?
Well, let me just say about that solar legislation, it's a compromise bill. It's not the bill that I had originally introduced, but it's a bill that's being co-sponsored by the Speaker of the House and the Chair and Vice Chair of the Energy Committee, me and others. And what it's going to do is not just allow for large-scale solar development to provide those solar installer jobs, but it'll allow large corporations that are required to get their electricity from renewables to actually come to West Virginia because they will finally have access to renewable electricity. And that's the real benefit to the state, is attracting businesses to come here and creating those jobs over and above the solar installation jobs. Those are the long-term jobs that are going to help the state.
Yeah. Well, given the turnout for Environmental Day here at the Capitol this week, there were hundreds of people here and a lot of people having the discussion. So we look forward to following your bills and talking more about the environment. We want to thank Delegate Evan Hansen, Democrat of Monongalia County, for being with us this week on Inside West Virginia Politics. Don't forget, we're also a podcast, so download us from your favorite podcast vendor. We'll see you back here next week.